I've seen highly skilled stylists struggle and less technical but better communicators thrive because trust converts, not talent. Most of the time, it's not about working more, it's about what you're building underneath all of it. So, if your pricing hasn't changed, your income hasn't actually grown, it's been stretched thinner. If your highest effort services aren't priced differently, you're building burnout into your business. Just keep in mind that doing more of the same thing is not going to give you a different outcome. It's not about doing more, it's about doing things differently. Before we jump into today's episode, I want to share an important lesson that became clear to me running my own business. Growth isn't just about skill, it's about having the right system. I know exactly how hard it is to juggle clients, staff, and strategy all at once, which is why I love Gloss Genius. It's the all-in-one platform every salon owner needs to scale. It doesn't just help you manage your day-to-day like other options. Gloss Genius actually does the work for you that you need to grow. Whether it's rebooking that brings clients back or automating marketing campaigns that fill empty chairs, this platform never stops looking out for you. An added bonus is that it actually is easy to use. So no where do I click moments for you and your team. Clients don't have complicated logins just to book an appointment. It's smooth, it's a smart design, and it works. If you've been looking for a way to do all of that, go to the link in my show notes and use the code SUCCESSFUL to get 50% off your first 2 months of their Gold or Platinum plan to see for yourself. Gloss Genius is all about growth and less busy work. All right, let's get into the episode. Listen, I want to talk about something that I think a lot of people are feeling right now, but not really saying out loud. You can be fully booked, busy all the time, doing everything you're supposed to be doing, and still feel like your business is not actually working. Not financially, not mentally, not long term. And I see this across the board. Stylists, salon owners, creative businesses in general. So if you've been in this place where you're like, I'm doing everything, so why does this feel so hard? This episode is for you. Because most of the time, it's not about working more, it's about what you're building underneath all of it. By the way, I'm Ambrosia Carey. Welcome to the Successful Stylist Academy, where we discuss the salon business through communication, finance, marketing, and mindset shifts toward a sustainable business. Imagine you're trying to fill a bucket with water and you keep pouring more and more into it, but it never really fills up. So your solution becomes I just need more water, more effort, more clients, more hours. But what you're not looking at is the fact that the bucket has holes in it. So no matter how much you add, it's never going to hold. And I see people do this in their business exactly like that. They're pouring more and more into something that isn't structured to hold it in the first place. So let's ground this into reality, right? Like across service-based businesses, profit margins typically sit around 8 to 12% on average for salons. Costs over the last few years have gone up anywhere between 13 and 15%. And most small salon owners delay price increases by about 1 to 3 years. So if your pricing hasn't changed, your income hasn't actually grown. It's been stretched thinner. And the salon industry specifically, about 60 to 80% of salon owners are still working behind the chair. And I think that that doesn't get enough merit right now, too. But I just want to give you a little context, which means their income is still directly tied to their time. So when someone says, I'm fully booked, but I'm stressed about money, that's not unusual. That's actually the most common version of this. So I'm going to give you 10 shifts that I'm hoping will change the way you think and maybe even approach things in your business. And I'm just going to get right to it, not sugarcoating anything. Number one, we're going to say this, that being busy is not the same as being profitable. You can be completely booked and still not make what you should be making because if your pricing or your structure is off, more just becomes more. And we see countless examples of this. I think you probably already know this. If you're sitting in this space, you probably know, yeah, I should probably be doing a price increase. So figure out what it is that is getting in the way of it. I think psychologically, a lot of us, we want to be wanted, we need to be needed. And oftentimes, what we do is we give up parts of ourselves to others too quickly. And we have this fear or this scarcity mentality that if we raise our prices, we're going to lose all of our clients or they're going to all leave us, which some will, some do, some might, and some should. But It also means that you're inviting for others to come back in too, that you're inviting more, you're inviting expansion. This means that you're leveling up something in your business. And that's always a good thing, but it can feel scary. So I at least want to put some attention in that and pause for a second by really highlighting that it is scary. And I think sometimes people think that it should just feel natural, or they're waiting for it to not feel so scary. And quite honestly, I've been doing price increases my entire career, almost 30 years now, and I still to this day get nervous every single time I increase my prices. Number 2, if you haven't raised your prices, you've already taken a pay cut. With costs up to 15 to 30%, that gap comes out of your pocket if you don't adjust it. And that is one of the things that I just want you to think about, because obviously we know not just the cost of color goes up, but your rent goes up, insurance goes up, everything that you need to operate within your business goes up. And we all know that that just squeezes at your margins, maybe gas prices, maybe parking, all of the things that conduct a lifestyle that we live, even just going to the grocery store and buying things. So everything around us, even though we know that the prices are increasing around us, we can justify eating up the cost just a little bit more because mentally we look at that final bill of sale and we think of that as, okay, this is what I made. But that's actually not what you made. That's what the business made, and you haven't yet paid yourself. So ideally, you're going to separate the final bill of sale from your actual income. You're going to think to yourself, I'm going to subtract what went into the service, and then I'm going to pay myself a livable wage, and then what's left over. Because obviously, we have to pay taxes. If you're independent and if you're W 2, you already know you're going to get a percentage of that because the rest of the percentage goes into the business, right? Or the salon owner to run payroll and have a thriving business so you have something to go to tomorrow. But regardless of how the structure is, I don't want to get too hung up on that. We already know that as prices elevate and increase around us, if we don't continue to keep up with that, then basically we're giving ourselves a demotion. Number 3, you don't have a client problem. You have a retention problem. Look at your last 10 clients. How many rebooked? How many referred? That tells you everything, right? So if you have, let's say, 2 out of 10 clients and you think to yourself, how can I bring up my attrition a little bit more? That's when you can do a cold outreach. Well, it's literally warm. It's not actually cold. It's a warm outreach because those clients have already seen you. Ask them to give a review, ask them for feedback, maybe just follow up with them if they haven't rebooked. We've got lots of examples in previous episodes, but I'm naming this as the number 3 because this still is a very prevalent issue, that oftentimes we can go through the motions of just taking care of the service and we forget that this is part of the service. This is part of taking care of people, is making sure that you get them rebooked around their own schedule, take care of them, think about their future, and that is a well-rounded service. That this is what clients are looking for today. In a world of AI, like, we all make jokes about AI, and even in the industry, I've seen a lot of people actually make jokes about this, that they say, "Oh, good thing I'm in the service industry because AI won't take my job." But that really isn't quite true, is it? Because stylists who are using AI will always have a little bit of a leg up because they get more advertising than you do, and they get to be seen in front of more people. But we also have our own clients that we're taking care of. And if our clients are impacted by AI, then we also will be impacted by AI. And we already know that if there's a squeeze happening on the client's end of things, income wise, financially, they will want to think twice about the services that they're receiving and who they're spending it on. So if a client is walking away feeling like, I really liked what I got, but I didn't feel emotionally connected to that person, or I can't wait, not the feeling of I can't wait to see them again, you really want to create such a bond with people. And I will recognize we can't create bonds with every single person who sits in our chair. But if we can get connected to more people, then that already closes that gap significantly. And it gets us closer aligned with the type of clients that we actually want to see. And then it becomes a symbiotic relationship instead of us depleting ourselves trying to make everyone happy. Number 4, I've said this many times and I'll probably continue to repeat it for as long as I shall live. Skill alone is not what builds demand. I've seen highly skilled stylists struggle and less technical but better communicators thrive because trust converts. not talent. This kind of goes into the previous point that I was talking about, right? Like if you connect with somebody on a deeper level, on an emotional level, or you take care of them in such a way that makes you irreplaceable, the skill that you add into it, the technical skill, is icing. I want you to get to a point where the hair gets to be the bonus, that you're not even thinking about the level of service with the hair that you're providing. That's a given. That's an expectation. That is a client's right. They are looking for that at baseline. They're not expecting you to just be okay at hair. Nobody ever looks for someone who's just okay at their service. Think about it when you go to do your own research. Like if you're going to choose a new technician to do, I don't know, a facial or any sort of service, sugaring, threading, getting your nails done. If someone has, mediocre service, are you going to say to yourself, "Gee, I can't wait to go back and see them again"? Probably not. You might give them another try, and then after that, you're kind of like, "Well, I can go see anybody. This person just opened up a place down the road from me. I'll go there because it's closer." So, it's really easy to weed ourselves out if we're only giving baseline expectations with the service. That's never the goal. Okay, number 5, you're probably avoiding the real issue, and this is the honest one. Most people know something isn't off, but instead of addressing it, they stay busy. So let's go back into the previous point, right? Like we give mediocre service, and maybe a client just notices that something isn't quite right, but it's not their job to say something to you. And even if you reach out to them, they may not feel comfortable enough with sharing it. So, allowing yourself to have an open dialogue, get their feedback in real time, and start to learn how to read body language. That's a really important quality. That if a client feels shifty in the chair, isn't looking at themselves in the mirror, gets really quiet all of a sudden, maybe starts pulling at their hair or looking at their hair from side to side to compare it, give them a chance to speak up and say something. Be forthright and honest about things because sometimes when something is off, people aren't going to say it. They're just never going to come back to you again. And that's not a good feeling either. Number 6, your schedule is either helping you or hurting you. If your highest effort services aren't priced differently, you're building burnout into your business. So, a really great example of this would be if you look at your haircut prices, let's say you do haircuts, and your baseline level for a haircut price. If you're looking at your price per minute and you're asking yourself, this is what I'm servicing a client with. And the reason why I go with a haircut service is because you're not using a chemical in it. So, any type of non chemical service you offer. Then I want you to look at a chemical service. Don't even think about the chemical for a second. Is your price per minute still the same? If it's yes, now add in an estimate how much chemical service would go into that. When I say chemical service, I just mean the cost of doing the application. So let's say it's a color retouch, partial highlight. So on average, how much cost is going into that service that you're doing? If it's highlights, you also have to think about foils. All those things add up, right? So if you don't have a margin for those types of things, then unfortunately it costs more money and more time for you to actually do the service. You might as well just do single services, do haircuts all day. Because if it costs more per minute for you to do a chemical based service or for you to do a longer service, then unfortunately you're leaving more money on the table and you're also giving yourself a pay decrease. Number 7, if everything depends on you, it's not scalable. If you can't step away, you haven't built something that holds yet, right? I know that this is something that can be really tricky because we pride ourselves in taking care of our clients. But there has to be something in place that, heaven forbid, you get sick or you want to go on vacation or an emergency happens where your client still feels taken care of. If you are so concerned that a client is going to go to somebody else and never come back to you again, then that means they were already mentally ready to make a shift, right? I don't want you to hold on and not take care of yourself or to treat your business like a prison. If you do that, you've already lost. And you know that too. So have some backups, have some people on your team that you can trust, that you feel like this person can take really good care of my clients, and do due diligence. Send them the formulas. Don't hold on or bolster yourself to anything because You outgrow people and people outgrow you. But this isn't even part of the conversation. This is just simply about taking care of yourself. If you need to step away at any point, you need to be able to do that. And by doing that, take care of your clients. And part of the process of taking care of your clients is giving them the option to see somebody else just for that one time that you may be away. Most of the time, you're actually going to find that when you offer a different time slot, or maybe you decide to come in on a day off to take care of them, most of the time the client will take you up on that. But don't be butthurt if you end up sending them to another stylist and they happen to stick with them, or heaven forbid, they really enjoy the time that they see them and they have a backup for the future. It's just part of how this business works. And it's also important that you know that if somebody can take care of your client and you feel like you can trust another person, then that creates a very strong system, because what goes around comes around. We hear that all the time. But energetically, if you let the energy flow through you and you don't hold on to it and you don't get to a place where you try to take ownership of everyone and everything, it is incredibly freeing. And I just want to challenge you to try it. Number 8, more is not the answer. More service, more clients, more content usually just adds complexity, not clarity. Trust me when I tell you, when you start adding more and more things onto your back, you just have to carry them through and it becomes heavier and it becomes harder to carry them. And it's also more things you have to be responsible for. If you, in any type of context, you need break, it's really hard to break away the more things you sign up for. So this is one of those scenarios where less can be more, but it just depends on where you are in your career. And only you get to decide this, right? So if you see somebody on social media, or if you hear somebody else around you talking about all the things that they're doing and you feel like lesser than, please remind yourself that energetically, that's not something you're meant to hold right now, or that's not where you are in your life right now, or that sounds overwhelming or something you don't want to do. Just keep in mind that all it's doing is adding complexity. And the more complexity you have without clarity, by the way, the more susceptible you are to burnout and being taken advantage of and feeling depleted. Like, who wants that? Number 9, your next level requires a different approach. You don't grow by doing more of the same thing, you grow by changing how you think about it. If you have more clients and you're starting to take on a heavier load for the day and you say to yourself, you know what, I'm just going to extend my day a little bit. Okay. So now you went from an 8-hour day to a 9-hour day, or a 9-hour day to a 10-hour day. And what does that do for you? Did you learn anything from it? Do you feel elevated in your business? All it's really doing is just compounding more and more and more, right? So if you want to level up in your business, that doesn't mean you're doing more of the same thing. That means that you're maybe creating time freedom. That maybe means that you're working with an assistant so they can carry some of the load. So that way, all you have to focus on is the main part of the service. That could mean you teaching somebody so that you can pass your knowledge on to someone, and that empowers you to be able to level up in your communication. That could mean working with a brand. That could mean going independent if you've been a commissioned stylist and you want to see what it's like to run your own business. There's so many facets in this industry. It's unbelievable. And sometimes, yes, there are so many different facets that it can be overwhelming too. One of the things that I think is the most challenging as a whole, whenever I'm on social media, just consuming for myself, and this is a great reminder for those of you listening to it, as well as for myself, that when you're scrolling and you're listening to other people's stories about what's working, what's not working, why you should do this, how you should do this, if it doesn't feel right for you, then that just means it's a story for them, not you. That's it. It's not that you need to question whether or not you're doing something right or wrong, or that you're behind, or that you should think about doing something differently. Intuitively, I think we all have some form of intuitiveness, but we've gotten really good about covering it up with someone else's story. We go off of what other people are doing and what they're showing us as the highlights of their life, that it's super successful. And then we get this tinge of envy and we think, okay, but if it's working for them, then maybe I should do it because it will probably work for me too. Just ask yourself, is this something that I actually want? That can save you a whole lot of grief and time down the road. But just keep in mind that doing more of the same thing is not going to give you a different outcome. All it's going to feel like is just more. And then number 10, this is a great segue off of what I was just basically saying, which is success has to be defined by you. Otherwise, you'll keep chasing something that never fits your life. And I think about this pretty often because I remember there was a time, I think it was about 2 years ago, where I was thinking to myself, I might want to make a shift in my business, but I'm not exactly sure what I want to shift. I had so many things I was juggling at the time that I just didn't have enough clarity. It literally took me going across the other side of the world and taking a break from everything to unravel things enough to really say, like, okay, if I have 5 things, but I can really only hold 2, what 3 things can I let go of? And what things am I telling myself that is simply not true anymore, that are my old truths or past truths, or like maybe a portion of me that I don't really want to hold anymore? What can I let go of? So it's not that I have to retire them specifically. It's not as if I can't do hair shows anymore or do technical things and classes, which I still do with French hair cutting, but I just don't do it to the degree I used to because I realized the amount of energy that went into it just wasn't speaking to the person that I was stepping into. And it's important to go more deep into the thing that lights you up because that's where you avoid burnout. That's where you avoid, I think, disliking the things that you're doing or feeling this contemplation that you got into the wrong thing or surrounding yourself by people that you don't feel like are your people. That's not a good feeling. And it's really easy for that to happen if you just get caught up in the monotony of being busy all the time. So sometimes we all have a different version of success. We all have different benchmarks of what success might be in different parts of our lives. And I think it's so important that we raise and elevate that message and that we really hold true to it during the phases of our lives too, because what I would have considered successful, quote unquote, 5 years ago, I don't consider the same level of success today because I know what was being sacrificed in that portion of my life too. Now, let's bring this into something you can actually do without overwhelming yourself. Step 1, audit one full day. What did you do? How long did it take? What did you make? And then I want you to look at the next step, which is look at time versus money. Where are you spending the most time for the least return? And then step 3, check your leaks. The leaks I was just talking about in the bucket. Clients not rebooking, gaps in your schedule, underpriced services, and then fix one thing, not everything, just one. And then step 5, create your boundary. Your boundary can be shortening your day, adjusting a service, raising one price. So there is something that can at least give you some direction and how you can gain a little bit of forward momentum. And this is the kind of work that actually changes things, not quick fixes, not surface level strategy, but understanding how your business is structured so it actually supports your life. That's exactly what we do inside of the SSA lab. It's not about doing more, it's about doing things differently. If this made you think differently, that's the point. Because most people aren't stuck because they're not working hard enough. They're stuck because they're working in something that isn't set up to support them. And once you see that, you can actually start changing it. If this resonated, share this with somebody who needs it. And also leave a review if you have time. I would love to hear from you. I want to hear about what's working, what's not working, what resonated with you. You're the reason why we do this, and I so appreciate your time. I want to encourage you to dream big, set goals, take action, and I'll see you next week.
Today's episode is sponsored by Pharmagel, a clean and sustainable skincare line of over 35 years that commits to using safe and natural ingredients to deliver effective results. Visit pharmagel.net and use code SSA15 to earn 15% off your happier, healthier skin.